Hello everybody, this is Shilpa Banerjee from Skills in It Consulting. Today we will be doing the Karnataka State Board Class 7 Social Science History Lesson number 1 Vijayanagar Empire Part 3. If you remember, in the previous two videos we did the other two parts of this lesson. So we will move on with the third part of this lesson. So specifically in this video today we will learn about the Rakkasa Tangadi battle, also known as Battle of Talikote. We will see what led to the war, what happened during the war, and what are the effects of this war on the Vijayanagara Empire. So before going to the battle directly, let's just rewind a little. I know that in the last video I stopped at Krishnadevaraya's death, but let's just go to the flashback, just a little bit of rewind. See, in 1524, before he died, that means before Krishnadevaraya died, he made his son, which was very natural, he made his son Tirumala Raya the Yuvaraja, meaning the crown prince, which obviously implied that he would become the king in the future. But unfortunately, the prince did not survive for long. He was poisoned to death. Again, there are many stories around this, but because it is not dealt with in your textbook, let's not get into the detail. But what you need to know you need to know is that Krishnadevaraya's son did not survive for long. He was poisoned to death. So we also studied that Krishnadeva Raya died in 1529. But before dying, what he did, he nominated his brother Achyuta Raya as his successor. So after Krishnadeva Raya, Achyuta Raya ruled from 1530 to 1542. After his death, the succession was again disputed. He was succeeded by his young son Venkata first, whose full name was Venkata Raya or Venkatadri Raya, but again he was soon killed. See, this is a very common thing in royal politics. One person getting killed, and there is always a lot of what do you call there is lot of unclarity, so it is never really clear, so there is a lot of fight for the succession. Okay, so again, because Venkata also died, so his nephew, so what happens when a person dies, the nearest of the kin, the nearest blood relative becomes the successor in the absence of children. So his nephew, that is his younger brother's son, Sadashivraya, finally became the king. He ruled from, that is Sadashivraya ruled from 1543 to 1565. See, since Sadashiv Raya was a minor and unable to rule, what is the meaning of minor? That means somebody who was below the age, he was of a very young age, he could not definitely become a king. So because he was a minor, he was still a child, he could not rule the kingdom directly. So Rama Raya of the Aravidu dynasty took the whole responsibility of administration. So Sadashiv Raya was only the namesake king. All the administration was taken care of by Ramaraya of Aravidu dynasty. Now who is Ramaraya? He was the son-in-law, andre Aliya of Krishnadeva Raya, and that's why he is often referred to as Aliya Ramaraya. So Ramaraya, he was the first. So that's how the Aravidu dynasty came into power. He was a very able administrator. He was very strong. He was powerful. His diplomacy or his diplomatic relations expanded Vijayanagara kingdom and made it rich. Now what do you mean by diplomacy or diplomatic relations? That means you're not always fighting with others. You develop friendly relationships with your neighboring kingdoms. So which could be mutual win-win situation. So you could mutually help each other. Okay. So that is what Ramaraya did. He was very good at diplomacy. So because of this, he was able to restore the power of Vijayanagara, which had sunk after Krishnadevaraya's rule. So what happened after Krishnadevaraya? There wasn't really any able administrator till Aliya Ramaraya took over. So to a certain extent, we can say that the glory that was lost during Krishnadevaraya, or the glory that was lost after Krishnadevaraya's rule, was regained to a certain extent. So Ramaraya's success, see, he was very diplomatic, he was strong, he was powerful, he was intelligent, he was an able administrator. So naturally what happened? He was very successful, but his success also brought in a lot of enemies. Okay, especially the Deccan Sultanates. See, the Deccan Sultanates were often attacking the Vijayanagara Empire. To avenge, what did Ramaraya do? He captured Vijaypura and Golconda, and this caused war. See, you should know one thing, that Ramaraya was also had friendly relationship with some of the Deccan Sultanates. All the sultanates united themselves. How did the war happen? All the sultanates united themselves with jealousy and hatred on the growth and richness of Vijayanagara kingdom. They could not really see that the Vijayanagara empire was again getting back the power, getting back its glory. So all of them united and they waged a war against the Vijayanagara empire. They had political differences. Now you might ask me, that means they were very united. No, they were not. Even Deccan Sultanates amongst themselves had a lot of differences amongst themselves, but they kept aside all their political differences to defeat Vijayanagara. Okay, see, this is what they call your enemy's enemy becomes your friend. That is exactly what they did, because Aliya Ramraya was a common enemy. So although they had differences amongst themselves, they all united themselves against Aliya Ramaraya, because they knew that one or two of them could not defeat the Vijayanagara Empire, which was very, very strong. See, in fact, you need to remember that I already told you Ramraya had very good diplomacy or diplomatic relationships. He was in fact siding with the Deccan Sultanates whenever required. See what he did, he was a very clever person. When there was a fight between two Deccan Sultans, what he did, he sided one against the other, whatever benefited him the most. He often did this. He interfered in their matters. He supported one against the other as and when it suited him. Okay, so whenever there were quarrels amongst themselves, that means amongst the Deccan Sultanates, Aliya Ramraya sided with one or the other depending on what benefited him. But that did not stop them from uniting against him. See, but although he had supported one or the other at one point or the other, now they knew that his growing popularity was too much to take. They did not want to let Vijayanagara again become very powerful, so they all united against him. As a result of this, that means all of them coming together against Aliya Ramaraya or against the Vijayanagara Empire, on 23rd January of 1565, the battle began between the united army of sultans and the army of Vijayanagara on the banks of the Krishna river. So this is the battle that we are going to study about. So you can see this picture. Again, it is not the real picture. Obviously, there were no cameras and there are no photos of that time. But this is just a representative picture to give you an idea, for you to imagine how the battle could have taken place. The battle is often referred to as the Battle of Talikote and the Battle of Rakkasa Tangadi. Friends, don't get confused. In some of the books, this battle would be referred to as the Battle of Talikote, and in some of the books, the battle would be referred to as the Battle of Rakkasa Tangadi. They are both correct. So now let's see why the battle was called Rakkasa Tangadi or the Battle of Talikote. The reason being that the battle took place between the two villages. One was the village called Rakkasa and the other was the village called Tangadi or Tangadigi. Okay, and these two villages were very close to a town called Talikote, which is in the present Bagalkote district of Karnataka. So that's why, because of the proximity to these places, the battle is referred to as the Battle of Talikote or the Battle of Rakkasa Tangadi. They're both correct, so don't get confused. So if you see, this is exactly where the battle took place. So this is the battleground, the battle of Talikote or the battle of Rakasa Tangadi that took place here. So this entire stretch was the Vijayanagara Empire. So now what was the result? Now you saw why the battle happened, who united against whom, who the battle was fought against. Now we will see what is the result or the aftermath of this battle or the war. See, Ramaraya died in the war. Okay, so obviously there were the United Deccan Sultanates. So they all united. So their army was very big. So they could not. Ramaraya could not win this war. Again, there are many stories which says that Ramaraya was almost about to win the war, but some of his associates actually turned against him in the last moment. Again, let's not get into the details because it is not mentioned. But ultimately, Ram Raya died in the battle. So the sultanates, okay, all the Deccan sultans together looted, the plundered Vijayanagara. Because if you remember, we studied in the previous videos that Vijayanagara was one of the wealthiest empires in that period. So now what happened? All the riches, all the wealth was plundered by the sultans. Okay. Now, so the sultans won the war, Ramaraya died in the war, Vijayanagara empire was looted and plundered. But it is not the end of the Vijayanagara empire. Why? Because Tirumala and Venkata, sons of Ramaraya, they escaped the war and ran away to Penukonda, which is in the current Andhra Pradesh district. So later Aravidu dynasty started their ruling from 1570 to 1646 by making Penukonda, Chandragiri and later Vellore as their capitals. This means they did not have one capital. From time to time their capital changed from one to the other. After this war, one more important result of this war was feudal chiefs. Feudal chiefs meaning they were not the independent rulers, they were subservient to the Vijayanagara Empire. But now because the Vijayanagara Empire had lost its hold, its power, the feudal chiefs, that means the small rulers, okay, of Mysuru, Keladi, Chitradurga, Yelahanka and Surapura, who were earlier under the Vijayanagara rulers, became independent rulers in Karnataka. See, Robert Sewell in his book The Forgotten Empire concludes thus. This is what he tells about the war. With fire and sword, with crowbars and axes, they carried on day after day their work of destruction. Never perhaps in the history of the world has such havoc been wrought, and wrought so suddenly and so splendid a city teeming with a wealthy and industrious population in the full plenitude of prosperity one day, and on the next seized, pillaged, and reduced to ruins amid scenes of savage massacres and horrors begging description. So, what does it mean? So, this is what the sad thing about this war is the just before the war, the empire that was the richest, the wealthiest, suddenly soon after the war, it was just rumbles and ruins. Everything changed after the war. So overnight, one of the wealthiest empires became just dust. Okay, everything was looted and plundered. So thank you for watching. I hope you understood about the war. I'll meet you soon with the next part of this lesson. Till then, please keep watching our videos. Please like, share and comment and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.